fluffy, rich, delicious twist on cinnamon rolls. Hey, I'm Ali Carr, and this is Serve It. I'm gonna share with you our Christmas morning tradition, a cinnamon roll recipe baked in a twist form. Make it the night before and make Christmas morning go a little bit more smoothly. Here's what you're gonna need to make the dough. 3 cups of bread flour. If you go that little extra step to use bread flour, the texture is unbelievable. 3/4 of a cup of granulated sugar, 3/4 a cup of buttermilk. I make my own. We're using 3/4 a cup of whole milk, just shy of a tablespoon of lemon juice or white vinegar. Add that to the milk. Let it sit in a warm place in the kitchen for about 5 to 10 minutes. You'll notice that acid go to work on the milk and curdle it. Okay, then we have 1/4 a cup of unsalted butter, melted. You're gonna grab 2 eggs, 1 egg, and then we're just gonna use the yolk of another. 3/4 a teaspoon of salt, and then your yeast. I've got 1 packet of yeast or 2 1/4 teaspoons. I'm gonna use my KitchenAid stand mixer. You can definitely make this recipe by hand if you don't have a stand mixer. So I'm gonna go ahead and add my buttermilk. Now you want it to be a little warm. This is how you're gonna start to activate that yeast. Now, not too hot, not too cold. We want it just right. So I popped mine in the microwave for just about 20 seconds. Add that to the bowl. Then we're gonna go ahead and add our yeast. Little whiskey whisk. Okay, you can start to see we mixed our buttermilk with the yeast. It's got the bubbles on top. Let that sit for about 5 minutes and then we know it's ready. We're gonna go ahead and add in 1/4 cup of melted butter. This is unsalted butter. 1/4 cup of granulated sugar. And then we've got 2 eggs, so 1 whole egg and a yolk. Go ahead and mix together until that's all nice and incorporated. Add in our 3 cups of bread flour. Put about half in, and I'm gonna start to slowly mix this up. Also gonna add our salt, flour. Okay, I'm just gonna hop in here, get some of that flour off the bowl. Once we get everything mixed together, we're gonna knead our dough for about 8 minutes. You need to do that for about 8 minutes. If you're doing it by hand, just do about 8 to 10 minutes, but really work it well. Look at that. I just like to take it with my hands and form it into a nice ball. Then we're gonna pop this inside of this bowl. You wanna oil the bowl, so I'm just gonna give it a little bit of spritz. You wanna use a pretty big size bowl because this is gonna double in size. We're gonna go ahead and cover it with some plastic wrap. Surround it with a warm towel, and then actually pop this in the oven. We're gonna let this rise for about 1.5 hours. Once it's doubled in size, you know it's ready. While our dough is rising, we're gonna go ahead and make the cream cheese frosting. I've got 2 ounces of cream cheese, 2 tablespoons of butter. Give it a little scrape, whip it more. And then slowly start to add in our confection sugar. Start that slow. A little more. Do just a splash of vanilla. Get the rest of that mixed in. Yeah, I think that looks pretty good. Okay, it's been about 1.5 hours. I am gonna go grab our dough. I like to kind of get it into a nice log. Then roll out my dough. I only want it to be about 6 to 8 inches wide. All right, so I've got my dough. For the filling, I've got 2/3 a cup of dark brown sugar and then about 1.5 tablespoons of cinnamon. We've got about 1/4 cup of butter. Now, I slightly melted this because this is what I'm gonna drizzle and kind of smear all across my dough. I'm gonna leave like a smidge on the edge that I don't go all the way to the edge, smidge. All right, so we're just gonna cover this all across our dough lengthwise. I'm mixing in my cinnamon and sugar mixture. I really want that to get stuck on the dough here. Now we make our cinnamon twists. I'm gonna grab 2 cookie sheets. I like to line them with parchment paper, or if you have like a silicone baking mat. We're gonna go ahead and cut our dough. I'm just gonna trim off this edge. I want it to be about 2.5-ish inches in width. Boom. As we place it onto the cookie sheet, we're gonna do a very simple twist. I pull up and I twist it. Some of the cinnamon sugar will definitely fall out, but I give it just a double twist right in the center. I like to do just one twist across the center. You see the 2 ends are exposed. It's so easy. Give them a little bit of room because they're gonna rise. If you are baking them immediately, you're gonna let them do the second rise for about 30 to 45 minutes. If you wanted to do it ahead of time, get these prepared the night before for Christmas morning, this is the step where you wanna wrap these in your plastic wrap, pop them in the fridge. Pull them out of the refrigerator, let them sit for about 30 to 45 minutes before you pop them in the oven. We've got our oven set to 350 degrees. I'm gonna go ahead and pop these in for about 15 to 20 minutes. Ooh, they look so good. Okay, so let these sit for just about 5-10 minutes or so. While they're still hot though, we are gonna frost them. So this is where I say, be generous. It is the season of generosity after all. It's so good. It just doesn't quite feel like Christmas without frosted cinnamon twists on our table. If you want to shop for any of the items that I used in today's episode, go to QVC.com and search Serve It. Wishing you and your family a very blessed holiday season.